It started, as all suburban nightmares do, with a letter in my mailbox. Violation notice, stamped in bold red. According to the Homeowners Association, my unauthorized decorative object, a tiny stone gnome named Gary, violated Section 4, Article 3 of the Yard Aesthetic Integrity Policy. Apparently, Gary's expression was disruptive to community harmony. I thought it was a prank until I saw the signature. Karen H. Dobbins, HOA President. I laughed. My wife didn't. Don't mess with them, she warned. They fined Julie for having beige shutters instead of sand dune beige. Still, I wrote back politely. Dear HOA, I respectfully disagree with your gnome assessment. Gary's presence enhances harmony. Sincerely, Tom Miller. The next morning, I woke up to find a $50 fine taped to my door. I paid it, but something about Karen's smug little smile at the next HOA meeting stuck with me. She stood there in her pearl necklace, lecturing us about community image, while her own lawn looked like a half-dead patch of crabgrass. That night, I decided to read the HOA bylaws, all 137 pages. It was boring, but it planted a seed. If they could harass me over a gnome, what else were they capable of? I didn't know it yet, but the answer would involve 96 houses, a forged map, and a courtroom full of gasps. Gary the gnome was just the beginning. Karen didn't just run the HOA, she ruled it. Every meeting was like a royal court, with Karen perched at the head of the table, clutching her binder of rules like it was holy scripture. Her minions, mostly retirees with too much time and binoculars, nodded at every word she said. During one meeting, she waved her clipboard like a sword. We must preserve visual uniformity, she declared. That means no personal touches on mailboxes, lawns, or fences. I raised my hand. So, no flowers? Karen squinted. Only if they're HOA approved. Pink petunias only. No daisies, no sunflowers. They clash. People actually clapped. I realized then that the HOA wasn't about harmony, it was about control. Karen thrived on it. She fined my neighbor Dave for leaving his trash can out 5 minutes late, and another for using an unapproved Christmas light color. Still, I played along, smiled, nodded, paid my silly fines. But I kept notes. One day, I overheard Karen bragging about a new development expansion coming soon. We're adding 96 new homes to our community, she said, sipping from her oversized #1HO President mug. I personally helped map the land boundaries. That last part caught my ear. I had lived here for years and remembered my deed covering a wide stretch of unused land behind my property. It had been empty, untouched mine. The next day, I dug out my old paperwork and deed records. What I found made my heart race. Karen's new development was on my land. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My property deed clearly included the entire stretch where the HOA's Phase 2 homes were supposed to be built. I thought maybe it was a clerical mistake. So I went down to the county office to check. Yeah, said the clerk, flipping through dusty records. You own it. Lot 17 through 24. Right here. But they're building on it, I said. The clerk frowned. That's impossible unless the deed was transferred. It wasn't. I had never sold an inch of it. That night I emailed the HOA. Dear HOA, please clarify the boundary of the new development. According to my records, it overlaps my land. Kindly respond before further construction proceeds. Tom Miller. No reply. 3 days later, bulldozers arrived. Karen herself stood out there in a sun hat and clipboards, directing workers like she was building the next Vatican. I confronted her. Karen, this is my land. She laughed. Tom, don't be ridiculous. The HOA purchased the lots from the city. Show me the paperwork. I don't owe you that, she said, smiling like a cat that just ate a canary. That's when I decided to start documenting everything. Photos, letters, recordings. I bought a drone, flew it over the construction site, and saved every clip. Karen thought I was being petty. She had no idea I was preparing the biggest checkmate of her life. By week 2, construction was in full swing. Cement trucks, lumber deliveries, and workers everywhere. Karen strutted around like she was the mayor of a booming new town. Then came the next letter. Dear Mr. Miller, you are hereby fined $250 for drone operation over HOA property, which violates the Air Privacy and Security Clause, Section 9, Article 7. HOA Board. I nearly laughed coffee out my nose. Air privacy? It wasn't even in the bylaws. I checked, I'd memorized half of them by then. So I wrote back. Dear HO, the air privacy clause does not exist. Please refer to your own bylaws before issuing future fictional fines. Tom Miller. That letter must have hit hard because the next day, I got another notice, this time accusing me of non-compliance with HOA cooperation. It was clear. Karen wanted to intimidate me into backing down. But I wasn't just some homeowner with a gnome anymore. I was sitting on legal dynamite. I quietly met with a real estate lawyer. When I showed him the deeds and maps, his eyebrows shot up. Tom, this isn't just encroachment. This is full-on illegal construction. They're building 96 homes on your land. He smiled. If you play this right, you could own everything they're building. That night I looked out at the lights from the construction site and whispered, keep building, Karen. Every brick's going to be mine. Karen wasn't done flexing her clipboard power. She scheduled a mandatory compliance hearing for me, claiming I was obstructing community progress. The meeting was held in the HOA clubhouse, basically a glorified shed with bad coffee. Karen sat at the head table with her posse. Mr. Miller, she began, your behavior has been disruptive. You've harassed contractors and violated HOA airspace. I held up a printed copy of the bylaws. Can you point me to the airspace rule? She glared. It's in revision. So it doesn't exist? Karen cleared her throat. You also accused this board of trespassing. I didn't accuse, I said calmly. I proved it. With legal documents. The room buzzed. People shifted in their seats. Karen slammed her pen down. This meeting is adjourned. That night I found an email from her. Cease any contact with HOA contractors or face legal action. Cute. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer who chuckled. She's bluffing. Let them finish the project. The more they build, the more they owe you. So I did nothing. I watched as houses went up, one after another, for months. 96 in total. I didn't file, didn't warn, didn't threaten. I just waited. Because when it came time to play my card, I wanted the entire neighborhood watching. By the time the 96th house was halfway finished, rumors started flying. Tom's suing the HO, one neighbor whispered. Karen says he's trying to steal from the community, said another. I didn't correct them. Let the drama simmer. At the next meeting, Karen strutted in wearing a bright red blazer, her power outfit. She announced, our Phase 2 expansion is nearly complete. Property values are about to soar. Everyone clapped. Everyone except me. I raised my hand. Out of curiosity, Karen, where exactly are these homes being built? She smirked. On HOA land, of course. I smiled back. Interesting. Because the county records disagree. You could hear a pin drop. Karen's face tightened. Tom, if you're suggesting something illegal. Oh, I'm not suggesting. I'm stating. I have the original deed, surveyor's map, and county confirmation. You built 96 homes on my property. A few gasped. One old guy coughed awkwardly. Karen sneered. We'll see you in court then. I nodded. We will. Just don't start packing yet. That night, as construction lights flickered across my land, I could almost hear Gary the gnome chuckling from the porch. The HOA had no idea what was about to hit them. The next morning, I walked into the county courthouse with a cup of coffee and a file thicker than Karen's ego. Inside, my deed, tax records, drone photos, and HOA letters. My lawyer filed an injunction to stop construction immediately. By afternoon, Karen's perfect little empire hit pause. The contractors stopped mid-hammer. The Phase 2 sign came down. Karen, furious, stormed to my door. You can't do this, Tom, she snapped. Oh, but I can. And I did. Her voice trembled. You're ruining the community. No, Karen. You're ruining property law. She stomped away, muttering something about lawyer friends. At the next HOA meeting, she told everyone I was a vindictive land thief. I just smiled and recorded the whole thing. Later, I posted a calm update on the neighborhood forum. For clarity, I'm protecting my legal property. Please check public records before believing rumors. That single post spread like wildfire. Neighbors started checking deeds. Turns out Karen had adjusted more than a few boundaries over the years. adding little pieces to HOA control. Suddenly, everyone wanted to talk to me. Dave from next door said, "Man, you're like a suburban Robin Hood." I laughed. Maybe, but I prefer guy who reads fine print. The court hearing was set for 3 months later. In the meantime, Karen's fake confidence began to crack. She kept calling emergency meetings, waving maps, trying to sound in control. But her empire was built on my land, and the clock was ticking. Karen wasn't done fighting dirty. She started sending her little neighborhood spies to watch my property. Retired folks with binoculars, pretending to water plants while filming me with shaky phones. One morning, I walked outside to find a note taped to my mailbox. Per HOA notice, filming of community property is prohibited. So naturally, I set up a security camera facing them. That same evening, one of her lackeys, Mrs. Ellison, came knocking. "Karen says you're recording her." I smiled. "No, I'm recording trespassers." Word spread fast that I had cameras. Suddenly, the HOA spies disappeared. At the next HOA meeting, Karen glared at me. "You're creating an unsafe environment." I replied, "I'm just documenting." "You love documentation, right?" The room erupted in quiet laughter. Her face turned the color of overripe tomatoes. Behind the scenes, my lawyer was preparing the full land survey report. Every inch of Phase 2. Roads, houses, sidewalks was squarely inside my boundary. Even the HOA's new clubhouse stood on my soil. I didn't need to lift a finger. Karen's arrogance was doing all the work. By now, half the neighborhood stopped attending her meetings. A few even started calling her Queen Karen of Confiscation. Every time I passed her, she'd hiss, "You'll regret this, Tom." Maybe. But as the bulldozers sat idle, weeds growing through half-built driveways, I couldn't help smiling. She'd built her little kingdom on quicksand, and I was the tide rolling in. Started with one tweet. A neighbor's son, studying journalism, posted, "Local HOA built 96 homes on private land. Owner lawyered up." Whole neighborhood shook. By noon, the post had 8,000 likes. By evening, a news van rolled up. Karen panicked. She ran out, screaming at the reporter, "This is private property." The reporter pointed to me. "Actually, ma'am, it's his property." The clip aired that night. My inbox exploded. Strangers sent emails saying, "Good for you, man. Don't let the HOA win." The next day, I got another official letter. "Cease speaking to media or face defamation charges." I framed it, hung it right above Gary the gnome. The reporter followed up with me, asking for details. I showed her everything. The survey maps, Karen's fake airspace clause, even her rude emails. The story blew up. Suddenly, Karen's castle of authority started crumbling. Contractors demanded answers. Homebuyers asked for refunds. One guy even parked a moving truck halfway built and said, "I'm not living on stolen land." Meanwhile, I kept calm. I drank coffee, walked my dog, and watched the chaos unfold. Karen tried damage control, holding press-free HOA meetings, which turned into screaming matches. She even accused me of sabotaging community morale. I didn't sabotage it, Karen. You built your dream neighborhood on my dirt. And now the world knew it. For the first time, I felt the tide fully turn. The HOA wasn't the law anymore. The law was mine. 2 weeks later, I got an envelope stamped legal notice. Inside was a sloppy letter claiming to be from HOA legal counsel. "Cease your actions immediately. The HOA has acquired your land lawfully." Except, the firm's address didn't exist. I checked. It was a laundromat in Ohio. "Nice try, Karen." Emailed her. "Karen, next time you forge a lawyer letter, at least spell counsel right." No reply. But at the next meeting, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her usual control was gone. The room was half empty. People whispered. Someone even shouted, "When are we getting our refund, Karen?" She snapped, "You're all ungrateful. Without me, this neighborhood would be chaos." I stood. "Without you, this neighborhood might actually be peaceful." The crowd clapped. Karen stormed out, slamming her binder shut so hard the coffee cups rattled. The following morning, my lawyer called. "We've got the hearing date. Full property rights confirmation. Once the judge rules, everything they built is officially yours." I stared out at the near-finished homes, all neat and pretty, waiting to be sold. Karen had turned my quiet backyard into a real estate gold mine for me. For the first time in months, I laughed so hard I cried. Gary the gnome watched silently as always, like he'd known all along how this would end. Court day. The room was packed, reporters, neighbors, lawyers, even a few nosy retirees clutching notebooks. Karen sat at the defense table, glaring daggers. I nodded politely. The judge, an older man with glasses, began. We're here to determine rightful ownership of the property under dispute. My lawyer presented the originals. Deed, map, tax receipts. Clean. Undeniable. Karen's evidence looked like a kindergarten craft project. Altered maps, missing signatures, made-up purchase records. The judge frowned. Mrs. Dobbins, where did you obtain this supposed sale document? She stammered. The city clerk. The judge interrupted. The city clerk testified no such record exists. Silence. Then came the drone footage, my ace card. The projection screen lit up with aerial shots of bulldozers on my property. The room gasped. Karen tried one last swing. He's lying. He's manipulating this whole thing to destroy the HO. The judge leaned forward. Mrs. Dobbins, this isn't about garden gnomes. You authorized illegal construction. You're trespassing on private property. My lawyer smiled at me. That's checkmate. The judge slammed his gavel. The land, and all structures upon it, legally belonged to Mr. Thomas Miller. For a moment there was pure silence. Then applause. Actual applause. Karen's face went pale. She sat frozen while I shook my lawyer's hand. All I said was, guess I'll need 96 welcome mats. After the ruling, the neighborhood felt different, quieter, like someone had finally opened a window after years of stale air. Karen resigned the next morning, though she called it temporary medical leave. The rest of the board scattered like pigeons in a storm. The court gave the HO 90 days to vacate my property. That meant every house, every foundation, every mailbox mine. Developers tried to negotiate. One offered me $8 million for the entire expansion. I smiled. I'll think about it. Meanwhile, neighbors who once avoided me now waved from their lawns. Even Mrs. Ellison brought cookies. Sorry for spying, she said. You were right all along. Gary the gnome got a new pedestal. I put a tiny plaque under him. In memory of HOA Overreach 2025. May peace reign. Online, people called me the calmest revenge story ever. My lawyer called me a legend. Karen. She vanished from the neighborhood Facebook group, but someone said she was trying to sell her house. Funny thing. Her property value dropped 40% after the scandal. I didn't feel bad. Justice had been slow, but it arrived wearing steel-toed boots. Every morning, I'd sip coffee from my porch and look out at those 96 houses. My land. My peace. My story. Developers begged. Realtors drooled. One even said, you could retire tomorrow. But I wasn't sure. That land had become symbolic. A victory, not just property. Still, I listened. One firm offered me $12 million, plus a lifetime exemption from HOA oversight anywhere I lived. That part almost made me laugh. When I told Karen's old cronies, they gasped. You're selling the community? I shrugged. It was never your community to sell. In truth, I didn't want to erase it, I wanted to own it properly. My lawyer helped me set up a new residential trust. We renamed it Gnomewood Estates because yes, I'm petty like that. Our new bylaws were 1 page long. No fines. No flower restrictions. Just be decent. Keep your yard tidy. Respect neighbors. When the first residents signed, they actually thanked me. Imagine that, a community built on trust, not terror. I kept one home for myself right in the center facing the sunset. Karen's old clubhouse? I turned it into a coffee shop. The sign out front read, Karen's Brew, strong, bitter, and served cold. Tourists loved it. Even the local paper wrote, the HOA man who turned revenge into real estate gold. I guess I'd found peace and profit in equal measure. Months later I got a letter. No stamp, no address. Just slipped under my door. You think you won, Tom. But I'll rebuild what you destroyed. K. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my mug. Classic Karen. Couldn't resist one last dramatic flourish. Later that week, I saw her car idling outside the new coffee shop. She sat there glaring through the windshield. I waved. She sped off. The barista, a former HO member, asked, "Was that the Karen?" "Yep," I said. "Don't worry, she's allergic to accountability." But truthfully, I didn't hate her. She taught me something valuable. Never underestimate what arrogance will destroy, or what patience can build. For fun, I had a new sign made for the coffee shop. No HOA rules apply beyond this point. People loved it. Karen probably didn't. The rumor was she moved 2 towns over. And yes, immediately joined another HO. I wished her luck. Really. Because I knew someday, somewhere, she'd meet another Tom Miller. And this time she wouldn't stand a chance. A year later, No Mood Estates was thriving. Families moved in, gardens bloomed, and for once, everyone smiled at meetings. No fines. No spies. No Karen. We even had Gnome Day, a community event where everyone decorated their lawns with gnomes. We raised money for charity. Even the mayor came. "Funny story behind the name," he said. "Oh, it's a long one," I grinned. Sometimes I'd walk the streets at sunset, remembering how it all started. One petty letter about a garden gnome. That letter built the fire that burned an entire corrupt system. Now the same land was full of laughter, barbecues, and friendship. A few residents still whispered about the old HOA days like it was a ghost story. I didn't mind. Legends keep people honest. The best part? My mortgage was paid off, my land tripled in value, and I finally got peace. Karen might have left her mark, but I carved mine deeper. In court, in community, and in every gnome smiling on every lawn. Looking back now, it's almost funny how small it began. A single gnome. A ridiculous fine. A power-hungry woman who thought no one could stand up to her. But the truth is simple. Bullies crumble when you use patience, evidence, and humor as your weapons. Karen tried to build an empire on lies. I built one on paperwork and calm persistence. The day I framed that deed in my office, I wrote one note beneath it. Never let arrogance go unchallenged. Now every morning I sip coffee from my #OneLandlord mug, look at the old clubhouse turned cafe and smile. Gary the gnome stands outside, sunglasses on, guarding his kingdom. People still stop me and ask, "Did that really happen?" I grin. Every brick of it. So yeah, the HOA put 96 homes on my land. I let them finish, waited, watched, and then pulled the deed out in court. And I don't regret a single second. Because in the end, justice isn't loud. It's quiet, patient, and absolutely devastating when it hits the right people.